Thanks, Cornelius. Thanks again also for inviting us, and really happy to be here. I think I have a little bit the unthankful task now to keep you away from the soup coma. So perhaps I'm fluctuating a little bit with my voice, might help you to stay awake. Yeah, but perhaps also the content of my presentation gives you a little bit help in that respect. Before I go in the details with regard to our hydrogen plants, a few words on my company. I think I don't need to mention Mercedes-Benz, that's well known to the world. But now this company is changing significantly. We are now splitting our company, or my company, into the Mercedes-Benz cars part and the truck part. This is, let's say, for a company which is more than 120 years old, really a significant step. It's a very bold step, but I will explain a bit more in background now. There are now two companies from the 1st of December this year. The one is really only dealing with passenger cars and vans, and the other one is really dealing only with trucks and buses. So the smaller part, of course, is the truck and bus division, but still a very significant company. Turnover, at least in 2019, before COVID, we had roughly about 45 billion euros of turnover, 3 billion euros of profit. And let's say we are still having a very significant market share in most of the important truck markets. I leave you just the slides so you can read a little bit more of that. I think very known and very important also with regard to the, let's say, the main brands. The one is Mercedes-Benz Truck, the other one is Freightliner in the US. Of course, the third one is Fuso in the Asian side, and in China we are partnering with the Photon Group with our Aumann brand. If you look onto on the world market, we are, at least in 2019, before COVID, still the leading company in our business, roughly about 400,000 heavy-duty trucks and around about 100,000 of light-duty trucks. So in total, 500,000 trucks we are selling every year. And if you would incorporate also the Chinese ones, it would be even more. So I think you see the strength of the company is there, and this company has to change now. Because not only that the societal behavior is changing, but also our regulatory side is changing because of CO2. Although we are only, let's say, a third of the transport emissions, that's significant. Roughly about 2.5 billion tons of CO2 are emitted through the operation of heavy duties. And so we are required to reduce significantly. And my company gave a commitment by 2039 in the triad market, we will be down to zero, more or less. This is 2 decades, more or less, for a company which is today mainly dominated by diesel engines. It's a significant step. So as mentioned, this is driven by regulations. This is driven by societal behavior. But the speed behind that is really significant. So in order to comply with the regulations by 2030, we need to have roughly about 30–40% of our most important segment fully decarbonized. And that leads definitely to the question, what is the right technology? And to be very honest, and someone mentioned it this morning, it's all about customer behavior. We don't know that. So that's the reason why we are developing both strengths. The one is the battery-driven truck. Let's say you see it in the middle part with a range of about, well, up to 500 kilometers. And then there's the more important part on the long-haul heavy-duty side. And you see that on the right side. That is the what we call a Gen H2, generation hydrogen fuel cell-driven truck. That is, at least to my understanding, also the backbone of our future transportation system. We presented a year ago the first prototype. We are working now on this technology since about 4 or 5 years. So you see also how long it always takes. But this is a completely fully electrically driven truck with absolutely comparable performances compared to our conventional technology. And it has one speciality, which I always would like, especially here, to emphasize, it is using liquid hydrogen. Why liquid hydrogen? Because on the one side, it is generating more range, and this is one of the most important criteria for our customers. And on the other side, it is saving payload. That's the reason why we are so much pushing on liquid hydrogen. We definitely will also have gaseous hydrogen on board, but we believe that the better solution definitely will be liquid hydrogen. The other thing is also that in parallel, we took over all fuel cell activities from our PES car division 2 years ago. We moved all of those activities in a joint venture with Volvo. It's the Volvo Group, the second largest truck manufacturer in the world. And we believe together with our share, we have a very strong market force to push this technology into the field. Could go in detail, don't do that. One slide that is coming from our activities in the German National Hydrogen Council. In that work, we had a look into the demand in Germany, but not only in Germany, also later on you will see that on the European level. And we estimated that roughly about 30,000 trucks in Germany will be propelled by hydrogen at the end of this decade. 30,000 doesn't look so much or doesn't sound so much, but there's a consumption of 300,000 tons a year. But then it's really ramping up significantly because every year we are then selling about 20, 30,000 more of those trucks, generating another 300,000 and 900,000 and so on and so forth. So you see how it's ramping up, and this is the slide for that. You see if half of the market share would go for that, you see how quickly it was evolving. And you know, once when our factories are producing those trucks, you can't stop that. And for us, the very important part is really how can we then make sure that the supply chain is really working accordingly, not on the refueling station side, but also on the green hydrogen side. And that's why we put so much hope into this area, because we also belong to the group who believe that not every molecule of hydrogen, of green hydrogen, can be made in Europe. The critical thing really is once when we come up in 27 with that fleet or with the start of the serious production, at that time you have to have made the decision already from whom the hydrogen, the green hydrogen really will come from. And as it is doubling, tripling, and so on and so forth, the challenge is even bigger. So that's a part of the discussion we would really like to have this afternoon and tomorrow, of course, also how can this region help to supply that green hydrogen? Thanks a lot.